All right, this is a new warning I have never seen before. Charge vehicle now, otherwise battery may be damaged. 0 miles remaining, 0% remaining. But good morning. It's a little after 6 a.m. and it's time for another road trip. I have the Volkswagen ID4 all charged up to 83%. It would have been ideal if I had charged it further, but you know, forgot to raise the settings, so such is life. But it shouldn't be a problem because our first stop is Bloomington, Illinois, and we shouldn't have a problem getting there with this 83%. So today I'm embarking on a amazingly epic vacation. 5,000 miles. I'm going down to Memphis, then over to Phoenix, then up to Yosemite National Park, then to Lake Tahoe, then across Highway 50 in Nevada, the loneliest road in America, to Salt Lake City. And then from Salt Lake City, we'll head back home to Chicagoland. There's no question that this first edition Volkswagen ID4 is going to be put to the test, especially because we are going to encounter triple-digit 100-degree temperatures across Arizona and California. And then when we're in Lake Tahoe, we're most likely going to encounter snow going over the mountain passes. So efficiency will be tested in every weather condition. But without further ado, let's get in the Volkswagen, set the navigation to our first stop, and get on our way. All right, our first destination is programmed in Bloomington, Illinois. 142 miles away, should just be over 2 hours to get there. Car is estimating 216 miles. So let's hit the road. As far as settings that I use for the trip, I use eco mode, and I'll use heat as needed for our efficiency numbers. And of course, all the data will always be included. Nothing like some excitement. Let's take a look at our projections. The guessometer has us at 43 miles remaining. As you can see, I slowed my speed down to 70. And I switched to Apple Maps because the in-car navigation is trying to force me to exit and charge right here at a very slow charger. But I have 43 miles to go. So it looks like when we left, I had said 83%. No problem making it where we needed to go to our first stop. And clearly this incredible crosswind that sometimes is kind of a headwind, and now of course the rain starting, because it wouldn't be a road trip on our channel without rain, as you can see by any of our past trips, that we're gonna have some excitement getting to our very first stop. So really regretting that I didn't set the charge level higher fast enough last night to get more, have it start with a higher state of charge this morning. But we'll check back in and see how this goes as far as our range left, and if this anxiety is going to continue, or if I'll be able to eke out some more miles. I turned off climate control, and we're following a truck a little bit now for 65 miles an hour, just to try to make sure that we make it to our first stop. We don't want the trip to end this early. Checking back in, we have an estimated 19 miles remaining. However, it is 21 miles to the destination. So slowed down even more now. It's in the construction zone, so that helps us do 60. I'm trying to do about 65 or so. And here's what's the crazy number. If I go to my efficiency, the long term, actually since start, same thing. Look at this, 2.2 miles per kilowatt hour, and right now I'm only getting 2.1 doing 65 miles an hour because of the rain and wind. It's pretty bad, like, especially considering it's 54 degrees and I'm not even running the heat or AC, whatever. So, yeah, hopefully once we get through this storm, the wind maybe changes a little bit or something, we can get some better efficiency, because it's going to be a long day of charging otherwise. Another check-in. We're down to 4%, estimated 8 miles of range, but we still got to go 9.6 miles. So still following the truck. Probably should slow down a little bit from 72, but if I slow down, then I lose his draft. It's a vicious cycle of, is it better to be going faster in his draft or slow down and be cutting through my own wind? I don't know, but this is way closer than I anticipated. And I certainly was not hoping to start the trip this way. All right, 1%, 1 mile of estimated range. As you can see, the power is being limited by this blue line not completely filling up all the way to the to show that maximum power is not available. And less than a mile till we exit, 1.7 miles total to our destination. So we will certainly be crawling in turtle mode here pretty shortly. But we made it. At least I think we did. There still is, I guess, a mile that something bad could happen, but hopefully about a minute from now, you see us plugging in the car. All right, this is a new warning I have never seen before. Charge vehicle now, otherwise battery may be damaged. 0 miles remaining, 0% remaining. But we're here at the charger, so let's go plug in and see what kind of speeds we can get. Charge is initializing right now. Should hopefully click and start ramping up pretty shortly. All right, speed's ramping up to 125 kilowatts right now at 0%. So this should be only about a 15-minute stop, and then we'll be off to our next destination, which I believe is Effingham, Illinois. All right, we are currently charged up to 46%, still pulling 102 kilowatts, so excellent charging session here. Went into Walmart, got a couple little things I needed that I forgot to pack. But according to the A Better Route Planner app, which I will go into more detail in later in this video, it says that I need 75% charge to make it to, technically I need 70% state of charge to make it to Effingham, and that accounts for the weather because I pay for the premium subscription. With this crazy wind and rain and everything going on here, 70% is what I'll need, so I'm gonna make sure I charge to 75%, just to always leave myself a little buffer, and then we'll hit the road. So it should be another 15 minutes or so at this stop, so it's definitely a deeper charge than I'd like to do, but we have to kind of shoot over to Highway 57 and then down to Effingham, Illinois, so it's a little longer stretch. 127 miles total. And something else I'll test throughout these videos in this trip, I'll use the factory navigation. Sometimes I'll use the Apple Maps and CarPlay, and then I'll also use A Better Route Planner to navigate. I have an OBD dongle, which I'll link down below, that allows data from the battery to be transferred live to the A Better Route Planner app, so I'll know state of charge, and as I'm going down the road, I'll know what I should arrive with, because A Better Route Planner accounts for elevation changes, the weather, all that stuff that unfortunately the Volkswagen in-car navigation does not. All right, we are at 73%, almost 74%. Let's see what the speeds are. Yeah, we're down to 66 kilowatts right now, so that's just because the battery is filling up, the speed slows down. So I think we have enough to get to our next destination. Normally, I would not charge to 75% to just go 127 miles, but we have a 20 to 25 mile an hour headwind the entire stretch from here to Effingham, Illinois. So now that we have enough, let's go ahead and unplug and hit the road. And next stop, Effingham, Illinois. All right, so I'm cruising through Champaign, Illinois right now, 73 miles from my next charging stop, which is Effingham, Illinois. But I want to show you a little bit about A Better Route Planner. So you can see the guessometer here says we have 83 miles of remaining range, but more importantly, A Better Route Planner, again, this is with the subscription, which is $5 a month. So I have the app on my phone using Apple CarPlay. I have the destination set in where I want to go, and I have live data being provided right there through the Bluetooth dongle, which is kind of down by my footwell. Is telling it that we have 42% and we will arrive with 5%. And just to verify that, if I go into the menu here, 41%, it just ticked down. But that live data is huge, because now I can choose my speed, knowing what I'm actually looking at ahead of me and that factors in terrain, the rain right now, the wind, all that sort of detail gets factored in, and it's updating live with the efficiency of my vehicle. So, at this speed, it knows how many watt hours per mile I'm using to be able to recalculate as much as needed. So that 5% number, when I started driving, it was 3%, then it bumped up to 6%. It's kind of constantly calculating as the conditions change. I'm not sponsored by A Better Route Planner. It's just kind of the industry standard that if you don't have a Tesla, and I mean, Fords, I guess, are pretty good too at calculating road trips, but unfortunately with the Volkswagen, if I put in, Memphis, it would say either I can't make it, or it would send me to some level 2 chargers like you'd find at the shopping mall and tell me charge there for 8 hours. It's ridiculous that it can't properly calculate that to use the Electrify America chargers that the car came with free charging. But hopefully that's something that gets updated soon. I guess the moral of the story on that too is don't buy a car waiting on an update. Buy the car that is the way you want it to be. You can never assume that an update will come. I've owned this car for just over a year, and I'm still, encountering these same map flaws. So, thankfully though, there's apps like A Better Route Planner that I can put in my destination, and for a small fee of the $5 a month, it helps me, gives me that peace of mind, so I don't really get too much range anxiety, knowing that I'll make it to the next stop, because I can always just adjust my speed as needed. Also, it gives some other cool data, like it showed me when I unplugged from the charger in Bloomington that my battery was at like 108 degrees. So that can be useful, especially if you're in cold weather and you get to a charging stop and your speeds are a little slower than expected. You can see the battery temperature and see, oh, maybe the battery wasn't warmed up enough by the time you got there, etc. So there's just a lot of data that it provides that can be helpful if you're a little bit of a nerd, EV nerd like me. Well, here we go again. 40 miles of estimated range. As you can tell by my speed and following a truck, things are not going so well again. I'm only getting 2.3 miles per kilowatt hour, which is what I've been averaging for the whole trip so far. So just horrible efficiency. I mean, this is worse than when I've done like my winter range test. This is coming out to about 160 miles of range on a full charge. So pretty terrible. So as you can see here, 39 miles to go to the destination. Just got the warning that I'm down to 20% battery. So gonna be another one rolling in dead, which is technically the optimum way to road trip, but I don't want to roll in with 0-0. I'd like to roll in with maybe, 5 miles and a couple percent left, just for a little bit less anxiety. And so also I can hold highway speeds and not have to do this drafting behind a semi. I just arrived at the Firefly Grill in Effingham, Illinois. Just initiating the charge right now. Arrived with 1%, so I don't like this trend of arriving this low, but it is the most optimum as far as charging goes, because we should get peak speed as soon as this thing starts ramping up. There it is, ramping up now. Not sure if you can see that well, but 20, 40, starting to ramp up. Should get to 125 here pretty quickly. And then this should be a quick charge, so I think it's only about 60 miles till our next stop down the road in Mount Vernon, Illinois. So I'm going to look at the map and check back in. All right, I had an issue with charge number 3. The speed all of a sudden, after going to 125, 127, slowed down to 30 kilowatts. So I quickly changed that over to station number 2. It's worked great. We're down to 104 kilowatts, so I'm going to actually go and unplug here, because our next stop is only 67 miles down the road. And we especially want to stop at that charger, because that'll be our last free charge. Every charge after that is going to be a charge point that'll cost around 30 cents a kilowatt hour. So it makes sense to, since the speed starts slowing down, go ahead and plug through here and go down the road where we can start getting the peak speed again when we arrive at a lower state of charge. Wow, is it windy. Mount Vernon, Illinois. This is the busiest charger of the trip so far. The very first charger I went to, a Honda Ioniq was leaving and an e-tron showed up with me. But this one is pretty full. Let's take a look. We arrived with 5%, ramped up to full speed right away. I wouldn't want to use the CHAdeMO unit, but we have a Kia Niro here, as well as a Porsche Taycan. Or no, sorry, not a Taycan, an Audi e-tron GT. Geez, one of my favorite cars. And then we come over here to the final spot, And because of the nature of these pull-in chargers, this charger is working, but I would have had to kind of back in some goofy way. I much prefer when they just have the bank of them that I can back right into. But gotta say, I love these e-trons. This is one of my favorite cars. I got the opportunity to drive it, and just a great car. I am really sorry about the wind. I can't really do anything about it. It is just so crazy, like 25, 30 mile an hour winds, probably gusting faster than that. So I'm trying to film as much in the car. When the wind is like dies down a little bit, I'll film some. What I was trying to say is I have an excellent video that'll be coming out on this e-tron GT. Got to drive it up in the mountains on Angeles Crest Highway in California, and it was just a real treat. All right, I went over to Freddy's Steak Burgers over there, and went and got a really good burger. Never had that place before. I guess it's a kind of newer chain in this area. But we are charged up to 85%, so we have enough to make it down the road. Our next charger is in Sykes-Town. It's a charge point unit, so it won't be as fast or free as the Electrify Americas, but we got to head down the road and get to the next charger, and that hopefully is the last one before Memphis. All right, we arrived in, I think it's called Sykeston, Missouri. Just plugged into this charge point unit here. Should be initiating any second, hopefully. Should be ramping up. The other unit is unavailable, so pretty lucky that at least one is working. Let's see what kind of speed it ramps up to. Hopefully more than 50. Hopefully it's a 75. Oh, that's not looking good. 43 is all we're getting right now. We're gonna have to look at the map because I know there's another charger further down the road. All right, so I'm here. Been here for how long so far? Let's see. Don't even know how long I've been here, but it looks like we're at 50%, so I have enough to get down to the road. Only got 45.5 kilowatts was the peak speed right now, so hopefully at the next charger, it looks like we can get 60 or 70 out of it, so that'll be a little better. co-op, and I arrived with 4 or 5%, and I just plugged into the only plug they have. It is free, thankfully, and so I went to a charger in I think it was called Hyeta, something like that, Missouri, about 30 miles north of here. And according to the ChargePoint app, both DC fast chargers and the two J1772 plugs were available. And then I arrived there and they all had zero power. There was some sort of malfunction. I'm surprised that it hadn't updated to the ChargePoint app yet. But there's no way I can make it to Memphis. Like, I'm in this small town in Blissville, just outside of Blissville, Arkansas. So I'm here on fumes. My plan is to leave the car here, let it charge up, and then I'll be back in a couple days to continue episode 2. So this was a pretty quick episode, just driving from Chicago down here. It was supposed to be Memphis, but here we are, close enough, I guess. So from here, I'll then be heading to Phoenix through Dallas, El Paso, the southern route. And that'll be a much more epic trip. Tons of chargers, tons of charger hopping, and I'll have a lot more detail. I'll go, and since it's a much longer drive, I'll go way more in depth into how I plan my routes, why I charge, the amount that I charge, pretty much all those details I'll be sure to go through. And hopefully it'll be less windy so you can actually hear me. So until next time, please do subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video if you found this content helpful, and stay tuned for episode 2 of the 5,000 mile around the country road trip in the Volkswagen ID4.